Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another Christian News and Views. This is episode 152. This is Tuesday, and our subject is green light. In this article, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that Ukraine has been given permission to use weapons supplied by its allies to launch strikes deep inside Russia. In other words, the green light. There are absolutely no range limits anymore for weapons delivered to Ukraine, not from Britain, the French, or from us, or also not from the Americans, Merz said at a conference in Berlin on Monday. That means Ukraine can defend itself by attacking military positions also in Russia. Now, the U.S. has previously approved the deployment of Army tactical missile systems known as ATACMS in border regions with Russia. The U.K., meanwhile, approved Ukraine's use of Storm Shadow cruise missiles on deeper targets. Germany had long refused to deliver the long-range Taurus cruise missile, though Merz has expressed approval of its use. Ukraine's Western allies are trying to intensify pressure on the Kremlin after Moscow launched its biggest drone barrage against Ukraine since the full-scale invasion over 3 years ago. European leaders have condemned what they call Russia's foot-dragging as efforts to lock in a ceasefire have gone nowhere. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has long pleaded for authorization to hit targets within Russian territory to disrupt logistics networks and personnel, and to hit weaponry used in attacks on Ukraine. That appeal has gained added resonance with Russia's fresh set of attacks, as well as Putin's reluctance to engage in serious talks. U.S. President Donald Trump earlier expressed his frustration with Putin over a stalled bid to end the war. On Sunday, the U.S. leader said he was considering new sanctions on Russia and called Putin absolutely crazy for needlessly killing a lot of people with drone and missile attacks. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that, if confirmed, a decision to allow long-range strikes could undermine efforts toward reaching a political settlement, according to Interfax. He called such a decision dangerous. So what's my opinion on this whole thing? You pretty well figured it out by now. As you may recall, I have on previous episodes predicted that President Trump would eventually have to take a tougher stance. President Trump is the master of the deal, the art of the deal, if you will. He is a man who believes that you can negotiate, but he also knows the how to use pressure, the levers of pressure. And as president, he has control of those levers. So to be able to talk to people at the table, to sit down across from people and talk to one another, both sides have to come in with a understanding that there's going to be some give and there's going to be some take. And both sides have to come in with an honest negotiating stance. Russia doesn't do that. Russia goes in and demands this and demands that. We won't take that. Nope, that's not realistic. We don't want that. So that's not in. That's dead on arrival. That's their attitude. But it doesn't work, especially when President Trump is around. He doesn't buy that. And so he's kind of frustrated and he's angry. And when you get this man angry at you, it's not a good thing. So although it was announced by the German chancellor, I believe the key was President Trump's anger and the fact that he can and will, and apparently has, up the game. It's going to put some more pressure on Putin. This will quickly, I believe, escalate the taking of the war to the attacking country, namely Russia. Putin doesn't like it, but he and the people of Russia are going to feel it. Drones and missiles and other things are going to start coming in like they have never done before, and they're going to be causing problems. And Putin, I believe he's been in a hot seat for a while now. Maybe he'll be feeling a little bit more comfortable lately, but I think that comfort's going to go away, and he's going to feel that heat again. When you read the Bible and stuff like that, history itself, but especially the Bible, Putin reminds me of Egypt's Pharaoh. If you remember the story, Moses came back after God commissioned him, if you will, to go to Egypt and to say, let my people go. So Moses went and he presented this to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh refused. He said, no, can't do that. I'm not going to let you do it. And he refused and he refused and he refused. 9 plagues went by and he continued to refuse, even though it cost his people lives, their well-being, their health, everything. He still refused up until the 10th plague, when God took the firstborn sons. Pharaoh had a son and he lost his son. That broke him. So what will it take to convince Putin that he does not have control of the war, like he likes to think, and that Ukraine is a far tougher nation, put it another way, a far tougher nut than he thought? By the way, I thought it was cute that President Trump threw Putin a bone by criticizing Zelensky. That's about all it amounts to, is just to balance the sheets a little bit. He criticized Zelensky. This is not a triumphant moment, but it is a moment, what could be a watershed moment, because Putin's overplayed his hand. And he didn't have that much of a hand to begin with, and then he overplayed what he had. And this is going to backfire in his face. If he attacks, like some people think he's going to, he'll be wiped off the map. And not only his nation, but he himself will be wiped off the map. The United States will suffer too, and so will other countries. The man is unstable, in my book, and you never know what he's going to do. But he is smart. He's almost insanely smart. But he's smart enough to know, and he should know anyhow by this time, that it's time to get serious. But we'll just have to wait and see. Do you like this channel? Do you like listening to my commentaries about news, events, and things of this nature? Well, then I encourage you to right about there. There should be a little box. And what you do is just click on that box, and you will have the opportunity to subscribe to my channel, TR Independent Books. Or if you prefer, you can just follow. Either whether you subscribe, follow, or do both. I thank you in advance for doing that. And I have a promise I make every time. I promise to inform you, encourage you, and to inspire you. I don't know what all I can inspire you to, except to be able to look at beyond what you get in the press and look at maybe from a more conservative, more Christian viewpoint than you normally are getting. And if I do that, then I've succeeded. Well, you have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.